London, 1888. Deep within the labyrinth of Whitechapel, a figure known as Jack the Ripper defied the British Empire and vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a mystery that has endured for over a century. To understand how he managed to escape, we must see the city as it truly was. Using artificial intelligence, we have reconstructed the narrow alleys and fog-drenched streets where the killer once walked. This is no ordinary history tour. This is a detailed immersion into the real London of 1888, built from forensic archives and historical records. Welcome to Chronos Files. Let's begin our journey. The horror officially began on August 31st with the discovery of Mary Ann Nichols. What seemed like an isolated crime soon revealed itself as the start of the so-called Autumn of Terror. In total, 5 women, the canonical 5, would be targeted by a level of violence London had never seen. From the misery of Annie Chapman and Elizabeth Stride to the tragic fate of Catherine Eddowes, the cycle of blood would only end in November, with the brutal death of Mary Jane Kelly. But Jack was no ordinary killer. He worked in absolute darkness, within minutes, demonstrating a knowledge of human anatomy that suggested someone with medical training, or perhaps a highly skilled butcher. As the name Jack gripped the headlines, fear became the new master of Whitechapel. Our journey moves deeper into the heart of Whitechapel. In 1888, this was the most dangerous region on Earth. Walking through these streets, the first thing you would notice wasn't fear. It was chaos. Over 80,000 people fought for space within just a few square miles. The air was thick, heavy with factory soot and the stench of open sewers. The cobblestone streets were perpetually damp, reflecting the pale, flickering glow of gas lamps that struggled to hold back the darkness. It was the perfect stage for anyone who wished to become invisible. Jack didn't need supernatural powers to vanish. He only needed to turn the right corner and merge into the fog that Londoners called the Pea Souper. To understand the soul of Whitechapel, we must step into one of its few refuges, the 10 Bells pub. Inside, the roar of the streets was replaced by the clinking of gin glasses and weary voices under a ceiling yellowed by pipe smoke. People came here to forget the brutal reality outside. For Jack the Ripper, this was the ideal hunting ground. He wasn't a monster hiding in the woods. He was a common face in the crowd, drinking alongside the very women he would hunt hours later. The danger in 1888 wasn't just in the dark. It was in plain sight, hidden beneath a gentleman's top hat or a local laborer's apron. While panic gripped the streets, Scotland Yard faced a technological vacuum. In 1888, there were no DNA tests or fingerprints. The police relied on eyewitness accounts and charcoal sketches. But the most disturbing moment of the investigation occurred when newspapers began receiving messages from the killer himself. In one letter, sent with half a human kidney and addressed "From Hell," the sender taunted the authorities. Detectives' desks were buried under maps marked with red pins, each one representing a location where the killer had outsmarted the law. It was in this gap between the medieval era and modern science that the Ripper built his myth of invincibility. The very structure of Whitechapel facilitated the crime. Victorian London wasn't planned. It grew like a scar over the ancient city. The streets were a labyrinthine network of passages so narrow that 2 men could not walk side by side. These were the rookeries, slums where thousands of people were packed into tiny, dark, and damp rooms. Many passages were dead ends, or led to internal courtyards connected by secret doors and rotting wooden stairs. If you were a patrolling officer, the echo of your boots would announce your arrival from blocks away. For someone who knew these shortcuts, Whitechapel was the perfect hideout. Jack didn't just run from the police, he simply merged into the architecture of misery. The killings stopped in November 1888, as abruptly as they had begun. Jack was never identified. Was he a local barber, an influential doctor from the elite, or, as the boldest theories suggest, a member of the British royal family itself? Today, electric lights have banished the shadows of the old gas lamps, but the mystery remains. Jack has become a shadow that reminds us of the failures of a society that allowed Whitechapel to exist in the first place. Perhaps the true terror isn't that he was never caught, but that the London of 1888 was the perfect hiding place for evil. If you want to continue exploring the lost files of history and see the past reconstructed, subscribe to Chronos Files. The next secret is waiting for you. Until our next journey.